All right, everybody. Thank you for coming to the first Astro Roundtable that I am holding to talk about a different topic related to astrology and metaphysics, and then kind of address things as a small community related to anything in that wheelhouse of things going on. And so, like I shared a little bit earlier, this first one, I'm looking at the idea of the four angles and the quadrants as a way to decode what all 12 signs are. And I did a little bit about this on the website's blog at leadintogold.com. So you can go see some of that written up there. And so if you look over here, I have got a copy of the basic wheel from Aries all the way around. And this is what I kind of think of as my study chart that talks about, what element. We've got our red for fire, our blue for water, our green for earth, our yellow for air. And then we can see the difference between cardinal signs, which is this blast of just, a straightforward kind of direct blast of energy of whatever color, with Aries and Cancer and Libra and Capricorn. Our fixed signs kind of have like a chunk of that energy together. We see in Taurus and Leo and Scorpio and Aquarius. And then the mutable signs we see are kind of wavy and changey, with Gemini and Virgo and Sagittarius and Pisces. So I'll refer to this little chart as I'm talking about things. And so in any given chart, you've got four angles. And when we look at a chart and we're talking about the houses, whether, we've got our 12 houses and you've got your 12 signs, the houses and the signs are basically connected in that they represent the same archetype out of those 12 archetypes. So we've got 12 signs, 12 houses, and they each have a lot of things that they stand for and they represent. Well, they all also make a process into a whole. And when we look at a chart, the first house's axis and the seventh house is what splits the wheel in half here, across from Aries over to Libra, with a big horizontal line. And then the other axis of a chart is going from top to bottom, from Cancer to Capricorn. And so that line is a vertical line that splits this wheel into a cross. And so you can see that very clearly. We would have a core cross here, and that cross establishes what we would consider the four main angles of a chart that you'll hear discussed. And what I hope to do today is show that if you can just think about what those four angles are doing and what those four divisions are, and we can even think like shamanically, like, north, south, east, west, the directions, all of that. But the system of four that then splits, or multiplies in this case times three, to make the 12, it gives you a sense of what each sign is built of. So ascendant to descendant is talking about our sense of self and our sense of other. And then down here, this IC, the lower line, that's called the nadir, is all about our self on the inside, while the top line, the top half of that, the midheaven point that would begin the 10th house, the Capricorn zone, is all about our career, our reputation, our worldly status. And so what these four angles and these two divisions do is they separate a chart into the top and the bottom and the left and the right. And if you can follow that, the things on the left, all of these signs right now that I'm highlighting with my my mouse, Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, and Capricorn on the left, they are pulling in some sense to this realm of the self. Whereas all the ones on the right half, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, they're all pulling towards the realm of others. So we have this first division of self and others in the two halves of the wheel on the left and the right. The bottom and the top, then, the lower half, representative of that IC or nadir point, is all about ourself on the inside. It's me on the inside. How I see myself is one way we think of why it's, the Coeli, or however you say it. But how I see myself. So this is myself more subjectively, and my inner world on the bottom to all of those signs: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo are my inner self. And then on the top, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces make up a section that is all about the objective world outside of ourselves, more of the external, out there world. And so there's 4 divisions that come from those 4 angles. So we have all about self, all about other, all about inner, and all about outer, and those 4 levels. Well, any given sign is in some way going to be in an overlapping position. Those 4 lines establish then 4 quadrants. And those 4 quadrants are an overlapping of that theme. And so if you'll follow me as I look through these 4 quadrants, the first one, this section that it's on the left, so it's all about self, and they're all on the lower, so they're all about inner, are the most self-referential signs. They're all about ourself on the inside. Me, and then how I see myself, all my inner workings. Me, inside. Then when I go over to the second quadrant, I'm still in my inner subjective world, but now I'm dealing more with the realm of others. So there's a blending and an overlapping of my inner subjective world, but how it relates to and is affected by others in Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. When I move into the third quadrant up here, I'm still in the world of the other, but now I'm in the outer objective workings of the world. I'm working with others more outside in the world, whereas these past 3 were more concerned about how others are inwardly, subjectively affecting me and mine, it's about me on the inside. Now with Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, this is about how I'm working with others out in the world, my external interactions with others in a worldly capacity. And then when I finish it off to that 4th quadrant, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces are all dealing with the outer world of the collective external, the collective external world. But in some way, it's also all about myself. It's my personal imprint. It's my impact. It's how I'm affecting the world out there. And so it's all about me and myself since it's on the left, but it's all about myself out in the world and society since it's above board. So we've got those 4 distinctions that really separate the wheel, if you will, into 4 families. We have the families of these 4 quadrants, and I'm not going to read any of the stuff on the left. If I hit some of it, cool, but that's there for you to kind of see and think about. Well, I'm just going to try and talk through some splashy things about it. So we've got the family of me and myself within. We've got this triad, this family of me within and how I'm affected by others. We've got this triad of relationships with others out in the world and what we're doing out there. And then I've got how I'm making an impact and my big roles out in the world. So when we get that those are families, we're now going to think about how each one of those 3 in the family has a different position or a different role. And again, returning, we've got 4 quadrants and 4 angles. The 4 angles are important because the signs that are hugging those angles are going to be really core in tune with what those angles represent. And we have an angle, the ascendant, about the self, an angle, the IC, about our inner world, our angle, the descendant, about others, and our angle, the midheaven or mid MC, which is about our career and our vocation and all of that. So those 4 angles, since those angles are so important and they start the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th house, the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th sign are the poster child of those angles. They are those angles. So Aries, the cardinal signs, basically. Aries is the sign all about self. Take action, independence, do it. It's just what I want to do. Myself, it's all of that. It's about self. And that's a perfect connection to that raw burst of energy from that 1st house. The house that is the fourth with the IC, that first sign then is Cancer. Cancer is the poster child of that second angle, the IC, in that this area represents home, family, emotions. It's my inner emotional self. It's what's safe. It's what's domestic. It's my family. It's my nest. It's how my emotional inner self regulates. And so that fourth sign really hugs that angle and represents it. Over here, the descendant is starting the seventh house in sign Libra. And Libra, hello, Libra is all about our partnerships, all about our relationships with other people. And so that descendant is a burst of energy that initiates, because all of these cardinal signs initiate. Aries is just initiating whatever it desires. Um, Cancer is initiating a sense of personal safety, security, comfort, family, home. Um, Libra over here is initiating social interactions. It's interfacing with others. Libra is the hello, introduction, invitation out into the world point of initiating those other relationships. And then finally, Capricorn, as the 10th house by the MC, is where we initiate our life's work, our career goal, what we want to accomplish. And so all of that is through that 10th house or Capricorn zone. And so we're again those four houses, those four signs are understood by those four angles. Those are the four angles that represent them. Um, the next four to talk about to kind of get from that are the ones that are in the middle. The guys that are in the middle of the family are also in the middle of their season. They're in the heart of it. They're the anchor. And so they are the fixed solid points. Taurus is the middle of spring. Leo, the middle of summer. Um, Scorpio, middle of fall, and Aquarius, middle of winter. So we've got, this lush abundance in spring. We've got this hot, playful, fiery fun of summer. We've got the appearances of death and decay and all of fall. And then we've got the cold, icy, intellectual winter in Aquarius. And these signs are the poster child of their quadrant. So if we said that the first four, the cardinal signs are the poster childs of that angle, self, other, inner, outer. Now we want to think about what the quadrant is, because the one in the middle, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, is the heart or middle of that quadrant. So this quadrant right here is all about me, myself, and I in a subjective level. And with Taurus, we have that stubborn core within us all that doesn't want to budge, that knows what we like. We know what we like the taste of, and we stick to it. So it's the heart of developing that which is our self-worth, self-sustainability. It is the heart of our self. Aries is too, it's initiating for self, but we take a long, sustained, committed ownership of those things in Taurus. And so Taurus is where that idea of that which is ours, our personal taste, our inner taste is really held in Taurus together. And so there's that holding. All the fixed signs are holding something solid. And it's a perfect balance point, if you will, that averages between the ascendant and the IC. So Taurus is a sign that's this perfect blend of self initiation and my inner sense. It's really holding and anchoring self and inner together in a sustained way. Popping over to Leo. Leo is the heart it's still about ourself on the inside, me, myself, and I. What's subjectively fun, what's subjectively special, my creative subjectivity, all of the things that are still me. It's still Leo, it's inner. But over here on the right side, I'm paying more attention to other people. Oh, hold on, I got somebody coming in. Mhm. Sorry about that. Quick little break. All right, I'm just gonna pop it back. I think I know who that is. Um, so with the Leo having the focus um on how others, and my it's still about my identity, since it's on the inner sense, the inner side, but it's more about other people and how they affect what other people are going to enjoy, how other people are going to see me. There's that self-awareness um that comes in with Leo. We're trying for the applause factor. It's all about me shining, but shining in a way that other people will appreciate, that energizes, that it's about the effect I have on other people and how other people affect me. So there's that little bit of a dance there with Leo, since it's on the right side, which is about others, but it's still tuned into its inner sense of self, its inner subjective nature. Um, then when we get over to Scorpio, we're outside in the world of the objective, and we're out on the right-hand side in the world of others. Scorpio is the poster child of this third quadrant about others. If Libra is initiating and starting all of those other relationships out in the world, Scorpio is where we hold on to those relationships. And it's all of the business dealings and the interdimensional stuff that entangles us with others. It's all of the business we do with other people. It's all of the power games between ourselves and other people. And since it's a balancing point between the 10th and the 7th, this realm of others and out in the world, it has to do with our position. It has to do with how the world sees us, whether it's our reputation for how we do business or how we have relationships, whatever our reputation is, and our business practices, and it's getting into our career and how we trade and exchange resources with others. So that whole intimate relationship zone that's both, sexualized through our, intimate relationships, and monetized through our financial relationships, that zone that is totally the heart of others out in the world and how we relate to them, that business is done in Scorpio. And then the final sign that is in our middle position would be Aquarius. And it is the heart of the fourth quadrant that is all about being up, out in the world, and related to my sense of self. Okay, so when we take that together, Capricorn, we had, my sense of work and how I'm seen in my career. It's the work I'm doing out in the world. Aquarius is really the heart of community, the heart and the network of the collective. It's the collective sign that, since it's also on the left-hand side of self, it's about our personal hopes, dreams, and wishes for what we want to see progress into the future for collaborating with humanity. It's the mark we personally want to leave on humanity by networking and collaborating with others out in the world. So it's got all of this out in the world collective networking vibe, as well as an individualistic, radical streak of what makes us unique, what cause is our hope, dream, wish, what's our round table, what's our Camelot. It's all about that individual spark, um, in the sense of self being on the left-hand side, but it is again about what we're doing with that and the effect we make out in the world on the upper half. The last four signs are kind of the trickier ones to think about, because they are the third one out of each family, and it's that mutable point of change where one quadrant is coming to be the next quadrant. And it's a place that is very closely related to the other side of whatever angle it's on. The angles, those four angles again in the middle, the two signs touching it are hugging it and share the importance of that, but they're seeing it from two sides of the table. They're seeing it from the other half. So let's explore those four to round it out. So the first one we've got is Gemini. And Gemini is in this house, or I'm sorry, in this quadrant that's all related to myself, on the inside. It's on the half of self on the left and the self of inside on the bottom, and it's hugging the IC. So Gemini has a lot to do about how we see ourselves in the world, our perspective, our opinion, our thoughts. Gemini in this sector is the land of our thoughts and opinions, what we think, and how we see things, analyzing all that. Um, it is self-referential. And so there's also a side, they've got the trickster. We're starting to blend toward this other side, which is going to incorporate others, but we're coming at everything from our point of view. So when we're doing wheelings and dealings and business and tradings and conversations and interactions with our Gemini mind communication, um, there's still a sense of it's about my perspective or what's in my best interest. And it's got that self-referential quality still of being on the left-hand side while also sharing that I see motive that's very Cancerian of personal comfort, safety, security. It's a little bit more, Gemini is changing and flipping back and forth in a sense between the two modes prior, in a sense, with Aries and Taurus, with action and holding, and so it's really that duality between the two, but it's about our thoughts and our thinking and how we navigate the world. So it's the deals, so the conversations kind of end up with ourself as the victor in that trickster position, so to speak. And like we learn through Gemini with our brothers and our sisters and those auxiliary type of interactions, how other people out there can affect me. And so we learn to navigate so we can get around other people, so that we can we don't have other people in our way. And so we can still do what we want to in Gemini. And then that I'm going to blend and contrast this with the next sign in each of these four cases, because once we cross into Cancer, we're still about our comfort and security, but there is more of a focus on other people and how we either join with them as family to incubate together for comfort and security, or we insulate away from threats. So there's more keen awareness that other people can pop our bubble. They can either feed us and comfort us, or they could pop our bubble and kind of mess up our security. And so Cancer is very tuned into that aspect of how other people are able to affect me and who do I let in and who do I not let into my inner world. Whereas Gemini is more on the go for itself, seeing what it can navigate into and out of and around for the sake of itself. Second mutable sign, Virgo. Virgo is going to be in this quadrant related to myself on the inside still. But it's over here hugging the descendant on the right, all about others. And so this is the tipping point where it stops being about us in Virgo and starts being about other people when we go into Libra. And so Virgo is about service, serving others. And so we're keenly aware of the other people that serve us and that we serve through Virgo. But in Virgo, it still is on the bottom, subjectively, all about us. It is all about, are we doing a good job? How we can perfect ourselves, improve our performance, make our way more efficient. And so it really, Virgo's service is selfish in the sense of it's doing it for self-improvement. On the bottom half, it's all about ourself. On the inside, subjectively. So Virgo is trying to practically improve itself from a subjective dimension of what it does well, how it can do something better. But it is so close over here to hugging this descendant that it's keenly aware of other people. In fact, other people dictate to a degree whether or not the service or the performance was good. Was it sufficient? Was it adequate? Was it, so other people are what determine the quality of our work. Just as Leo learned, other people are the ones that will applaud or determine whether or not we are special enough. So we're keenly aware still in this whole quadrant of how others see us. Virgo is how they see our work, but it's still about us and our quality of work. before it shifts to Libra out there in the world, and it's really all about the other person. It's really about being pleasing and diplomatic and initiating interactions more so than doing our function as it is in Virgo. Moving up to the third mutable sign, Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a sign on the right-hand side, so it's all about other people, and it's on the top half, so it's all about out in the world, and it's hugging the MC, so it's really going from being about other people and relationships to a position that's being primarily oriented in the world of the collective, external, work of that nature. Um, so Sagittarius is the zone that brings us into contact with other foreign people, ideas and places and cultures and others that are foreign, way out on the fringe, so that we can learn what the common denominators are, what's true among the biggest collective. And so we exchange thoughts and ideas and opinions and goods and resources and relate and learn. Sagittarius is where we're learning through our relationships out in the world with others how to take a better, more collective aim. We're learning through others what the truth is before we come back to this point and we tip the line back into being all about self with what our work is, our ambition, our goal in Capricorn. So the main focus is relating to people out in the world and learning and doing for others and what others are doing for us, and the exchange that comes from the learning with others out in the world on foreign ventures, exploring, things that are widening our scope of reality, widening our sense of identity through the exchanges we have with others of a wide, diverse range, so that we can then centralize an aim and a target of something we want to attain, to accomplish, to work on when it shifts to Capricorn and we're still out in the world. But instead of, playing and learning and exploring with others, it's about our work and what we're doing to make a mark or a monument and a testament upon the collective with Capricorn. And then finally, we'll talk about Pisces. Pisces is the last mutable sign. It is closest to the ascendant on the left-hand side, so it's essentially about the self. And it is on the top half of the chart, which is essentially about being out in the world. And when we say that there's something about Pisces, it's about the self, that seems so paradoxical because it's such a selfless sign. But it is this zone where we imagine and dream and envision ourself. It's like our inner quiet yin hidden internal self that's just before popping out into the action we take in Aries. But Pisces, whereas, we've got Cancer is also a private incubating sign before things, burst out on the stage in Leo. But with Pisces, it's on the top half and it is about the collective. And so Pisces is very sensitive to the collective. It is plugged into the needs and the charities and the sense of selfless service to the collective. It's finishing the dreams and the loose ends from whatever the vision of Camelot was prior in Aquarius. But in Pisces, there's also a sense that the collective can affect us. It's this unconscious zone where we're either having a very subtle, sensitive, charitable effect on the world at large in kind of a quieter way, or sometimes feeling awash and adrift by the collective efforts and how the collective swirl of things, in a sense, can affect us personally before we step over that first line into Aries and really take more of an ego, confident, kind of self-initiating stance related to who we are and how we take action and what our identity is. The identity line is being hugged, but it's still kind of shaping the identity and playing with a whole costume world full of hats and ideas related to identity and the imagination, related to collective need and collective yearnings before that point where it crosses over. So with that that spells out how all 12 signs are in a core part, without getting too specific into them, who they are based on what line they are either closest to or averaging in the middle of, and as well as what quadrant they're a part of, what team and what family they are in a system of that four. One quick other splash, I think the last thing from that article I mentioned was that we can also, that's a system of four. There is also a way to say I've got my first four signs here, and then four, and have a system of three, where we say these first four signs are really our core, raw, personal nature. The next four signs from Leo to Scorpio are really our interactive, most interactive with other nature. And then from Sagittarius to Pisces is very much our collective. And so there's a way to look at these families as a system of four, system of three, but it really is all something that you can deduce and kind of figure out who's who from those four angles and from those four quadrants. So with that, I am going to kind of bring us back out of the slideshow for a minute. And I can pop it back up on there as needed. But that's kind of a gist of what I wanted to share with you guys related to those four angles and four quadrants as a way to decode what each of those 12 signs are made of. So with that, did anybody have any questions about any of that I covered? And I'm opening the floor if anyone has any questions of a general nature. Some of you that contributed at the 1111 level, if you have a priority question today that you would like to make sure gets attention, feel free to unmute yourself, or you can write something in the chat box and I'll grab it that way.
Well, I'll just ask about the interceptions, I guess.
Interceptions, yeah. So you mentioned that before we started recording, and I said I'd come back to that. So to show that, I don't know if I'll have an interception on this chart. If I pull up a chart of the moment, do I have one? Not at the moment. So just trying to describe, there's not one here. Let me see if I can find a picture. Intercepted sign, so that people can see what we're talking about. But an interception is where, hey, this chart kind of looks familiar. It's not too far off. An interception is where you have a sign that is totally inside a house, but it's not on the cusp of any house. So like if you look at this example I just randomly stumbled upon, the fifth house here is starting right at around 28, 29 degrees Libra, and then Scorpio is totally intercepted because it's all in the fifth house. And then it changes into Sagittarius to start the sixth house. So if I was reading my houses, I'd be like Cancer, Leo, and then I say Leo again, and then I've got Virgo, Libra, and then I miss Scorpio altogether and go to Sagittarius. So it's kind of like it hides a house, and one house has two cusps. There's several thoughts on that. The one that I have tended to gravitate towards is that the intercepted sign is definitely a part of whatever house it's inside of. So in this example, Scorpio is definitely going to be an energy associated with that fifth house, and Taurus is definitely going to be an energy associated with that 11th house. So an intercepted sign is especially paramount in the house that it occurs in. Since it's starting with a Libra flavor at that beginning point, it depends on what house system you use. Some people use equal house signs or equal sign houses, which totally avoids the possibility of something being intercepted. And if you do that, fine. And I kind of think there is a conscious level to each possibilities with it. It's however you want to interpret, you just kind of stay fixed with it. It's kind of the reason and how both Vedic and Eastern astrology or Western astrology, they all work if you work them consistently. If you keep changing up your systems, it gives different results. But when I look at an intercepted house, I sometimes think that those signs have more gravity or importance for the native in some way. So I'm more sensitive to what those archetypes are and those houses. And I'm also more inclined to think that it could be a side of the person that is in some way hidden as well. Just like how the signs are hidden from the cusp, those signs are more important and somehow hidden. So there's kind of like that double emphasis on those intercepted signs. Um, I still, if something was like at the end of Libra though in that house, I would still, it's still going to have that Libra flavor. So whether it's, right before or right after an intercepted sign, I interpret planets in those signs or out of those signs the same as I would any other way. I just kind of think those intercepted signs have a little bit more emphasis while being a little bit more maybe hidden to the native in their own sense in some way. It's an important archetype, but it's an unfamiliar archetype. So that is interceptions. Does anybody have any other questions for today? The roundtable time is devoted for anything related to anything astrological, anything even metaphysical, or anything specific to the four angles or signs or whatnot we were looking at today. Anybody else got something they're curious about this afternoon, evening? All right, last call. Because if the way that these will go, if there's not any other questions after I do the mini lesson, I won't hold everybody and I'll stop the recording so that it doesn't go on if it doesn't have anything it needs to, and we can close out. But is there anything left of an astrological question that anybody wants to find out about today before next month's
Well,
opportunity?
yeah, I was just looking because I wondered if I had any intercepted signs on my chart. And it looks like I do. I have like Capricorn is intercepted. Or the 11th house intercepts Capricorn, I guess.
So I'm guessing you have Capricorn filling the entire 11th house,
Yeah.
but
part
it's
of
not in
the
the cusp.
10th.
And then Cancer is going to be filling the entire 5th house, but Cancer is not the sign on the 5th house or 6th house cusp, correct?
Right, yes.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. So yeah, you have Cancer and Capricorn intercepted. If you
Mm-hmm.
have planets in those signs, that's going to bring them to life for sure. But it's going to kind of, I mean, I would say again, kind of like the example I looked at, which was also 5th and 11th house, those two dimensions of life, the Leo archetype of the 5th and the Aquarius archetype of the 11th, are going to be more paramount, which is, your central identity and then your collective role. And then those signs, how those areas relate and tie in with Cancer themes of my inner personal security, my family, domestic life, and my career out in the world. So those two zones are just going to be, there's going to be like a lot of maybe more focus or kind of emphasis on those levels of your life, as well as the way in which they might seem like they're hidden in a way, or they're really important to you, but they don't seem like they're the most outstanding or the most notoriety parts of your experience is how I
So
kind
is
of
it
think of
something
them.
that you might struggle with then, would you say?
Struggle with, I think that would, I mean, in and of itself, I wouldn't say that just without, I mean, yes and no. I mean, struggle can be a little subjective, but I'd say if you had planets that were making difficult aspects, maybe a little bit more so. It might it's almost like an area that is getting more attention in this lifetime. It's not being seen as much, and so you're seeing it more. You're dealing with it more in your life experience because it's not as seen in some way. Is how I might think
Okay.
about it. And
Thank
I'll
you.
caveat this though, talking about the interceptions, that is like to me in the realm of of dealing with the things that make a chart tick. I would put it more on the minor end of things. I would just it's a set of signs that I would contemplate a little bit more in the way that that archetype, that axis, those two signs have been an important emphasis in my life and maybe just not been seen as much. They don't see the light of light of day as much. They don't get as much recognition, something like that. But it's not any of the heavy duty glue in a chart to worry about. But it's all fun to contemplate, and I'm glad y'all know about it. And for the people that don't, it gives me a chance to share about them because there are so many different little levels and nuances to items in a chart. Anybody else have anything else before I wrap us up?
I had a question, if you can hear me.
Yeah,
It's
what's up,
Stephanie.
Stephanie?
I've got that 3 months of travel coming up, July, August, September, and I'm going all the way to Canada. And where in the chart would you find travel, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so when we're talking about travel stuff, and as my generic example, I'm going to go to my chart of the moment. If y'all can see my screen, this is the easy chart of where everything is right now, which is easy. So if someone was born right now, it'd be this. So if we're talking about travel stuff and then you're looking in your own chart, you're going to look in, especially if you're going somewhere that's like another state, another country, further away. You're gonna look in the ninth house. The ninth house is the section of our life experience that is foreign travel. The third house is always going to talk about some travel, but it's more like the local, like kind of trips around town. It's more familiar, quote unquote, in the neighborhood type of things. Whereas when we're taking a more of a far away trip or a long distance or a long time trip, that's a ninth house issue. And so you might look at, things that trigger that could be transits when we have weather from the planets that is either triggering planets that we have natally in the ninth house, or we have planets in transit passing through the ninth house. Those can give flavors that indicate an important time or something happening with travel. And the other two characters, as far as planets that we'd pay attention to, would be Mercury and Jupiter. Those are our two travel planets. Mercury is kind of like how we get around, how we navigate, how we move. So we can see a lot about our day to day and our movement style and our kind of daily travelings with Mercury. And then Jupiter is going to have a signature for where we go for those longer range kind of exploring trips where we're learning new things further away from home. And so time periods, especially when we have in the weather for the collective, Mercury and Jupiter talking together in some way through an aspect, those can be busy times for travel all around. Or when we have Jupiter or Mercury talking to our natal Jupiter or Mercury, those are times that can excite travel. But any aspect that is bringing Mercury or Jupiter into the mix is going to kind of apply a travel theme. And anything that's going towards or impacting things in the ninth house or going through the ninth house would be about travel things. So those are the travel departments of a chart, if you will. That answer your question a little bit, Stephanie?
Yeah, it answered it. And then I had one other one, and then that'll be my only second other question. Is I've had so many clients with health
right.
challenges, health issues. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
I
Where
can.
is that health issues? Do you think that's like in the collective chart of everybody, or is it like, do you think it's just that I have older clients and that they're having health challenges? I mean, or is it in the
I'll say a
collective?
couple of things. A couple of things about the health. So in general, this is a good time to mention, like, where do we look for health in a chart? The sixth house is Virgo's domain, and Virgo is all about how our systems are put together, and our body is one big mix of systems. So our Virgo house, the sixth house, talks a lot about our health, as can the first house. The first house is all about our self and our identity. So we can see major things that impact our body and our health and our self in that area. Six is mainly a health house. Collectively, if I was to think about an issue that could be related to collective things, and I know we've talked about the theme of older people and hanging on longer, I am wondering if there is not something related to Pluto's linger in Capricorn, because it went into Aquarius, it's gone back, it's going to stay back there in Capricorn until the beginning of next year before it really gets into Aquarius and stays. But just this idea of Pluto, which is a planet that is related to death, and intensity and extremes, pulling it out. And Capricorn, which is a sign that is related to our elders, it's related to older people, older systems. I think if we thought about the way, if you're seeing clients that are holding on a lot older and having, you know, older death or waiting longer for death and all this. It's also reminiscent of governments and established systems that don't want to die, that don't want to change, holding on to the last breath, the last straw. Um, and I really think that's got a lot to do about the gravity in a sense of Pluto holding on at the end of Capricorn before it snaps into Aquarius. And I am thinking, when it comes to health, and this is just maybe me being having opinions and thoughts and all, that when we get some of the energy circulation and technology innovations through 2025 and whatnot, I could see either, something that is kind of like, hey, people start dying again that need to, or something where it becomes easy to stay more regenerated or keep a more useful quality of life longer, could be in the mix. But there's a lot of old lingering things with that Pluto at the end of Capricorn, I think. Personally, though, if you're looking at personal health things, that you're looking at anything in the sixth house, natal planets, they are going to talk about lifelong health indications. So when things transit the sixth house or make aspects to those planets, that is health related. We also can see when things are impacting our sun or moon, since those are two of our most personal planets, they can have a health effect. So like Jupiter going over the sun, really, more vibrant, more alive, more health. Saturn can kind of dampen it. So Saturn can kind of have a stifling, restricting, limiting, depressing effect on health and vibrancy related to the sun. So those are some of the places to look and characters to talk to related to personal health concerns, and my 2 cents about what the collective health journey may be with things lingering at this time.
Well, thank you. That was very helpful.
You're welcome. So anybody else got a quick question I can address? Anything related to astrology or metaphysics that you want to put out on the table, put out on the round table before next month?
I think you said you were working on 2 upcoming videos. Is that right?
Yes. So
Where can I see? Are you going to do? Can I see those on YouTube, or are you more on Facebook now, or are you?
So this
videos or
so this will be on YouTube soon itself too. But yeah, I'm gonna release on YouTube. I have a Lead into Gold YouTube page. This Thursday, I plan to put out Alphabet of the Planets. And then next Monday, I will put out Alphabet of the Signs. And those are just videos. There's no need to tune in anything live. I'm just going to record them and put them up so that people can view them kind of as something prerequisite before the 30th of this month, where I will have an event called Unity. I'm sorry, I think I said it wrong. Duality and Unity, or Unity and Duality. And that will be both online and in person here at the Astro Lounge for anybody local that wants to come. But then people that are far off can choose to join via remote if they want. And I'm going to be talking about the planets and the signs and how we can look at our yin and yang, masculine, feminine connotations personally on the 30th. So I'm going to be looking at those combinations of masculine, feminine, yin and yang in each of us on that date. And so the video that I released this Thursday and Tuesday on the planets and the signs will kind of be like learning the alphabet or the language of what each of the planets stand for, what each of the signs stand for, and what their quote unquote gender or yin and yang nature is like. so that we can start to explore the combinations together on the 30th. So those are the two videos that I've referenced, Dexter, and they will be out on this Thursday, the 22nd, and then I believe Monday, the 26th.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yay, thank you. Anybody else got anything they want to know about, hear about? I'm loving the idea of this being like a monthly shot for anybody that wants astrological information, updates, understand a concept, a sign, a planet, a combination. No questions too weird. Doesn't happen. Can be about anything.
I have a quick question, and you could just
What's
say
up?
yes or no to it. Do you think
Okay.
it's do you think it's like fated? So the first and seventh house, because I've noticed that I definitely attract seventh house energy, according to like my rising.
Uh-huh.
And is that something that is like a forever thing, or is it like a kind of like a fated thing that's like something that's going to always happen, or not really?
It is. Here's what I would say to that, Daniela. I would say fated and free will. You get some of both. It's fated in that that time stamp has got you with a certain ascendant that is a certain sign, and that establishes the ascendant first house and the descendant seventh house. And it's free will because we get to interact and play with all the people that we meet. And so whatever those two signs are, the ascendant and the descendant, you have a lot in the ascending sign that's related to your journey and what you're here to do and who you're here to be. And the planet that rules that ascendant sign has a lot to say as the ruler of your chart. The descendant sign, you may attract a lot of people that are either maybe that sun sign or that have a lot of planets in that sign. That may be a sign that you see active through your relationships with people frequently, but it also doesn't have to be. You can also see people that may be their job, or like, you know, an example I'd give, if I have Capricorn on the descendant, well, maybe I do find myself with a Capricorn person or someone that has a planet in Capricorn or something. But Capricorn also stands for older people. So it could just be that I'm finding myself attracted to somebody older. It can also be bosses or people that are mature. So maybe it's somebody younger, but they own their own company, and they're the boss of it. So there's lots of different ways that it can express. And so there is a fated quality in that you will probably notice that ascendant descendant axis to be in play with your relationships quite a lot, but it's not like it's not like it doesn't have any free will to it. You can date and play with any sign in the, you know, the system. It's just that you might notice that, hey, there's a quality about those people that is part of that archetype because you're partnering with that energetic archetype more so than that feature in any particular person. Does that help make sense?
Oh my God, yeah, definitely. And I see it a different way because I also, besides like partnerships, children. So Aries, children are a big part of my life. And I guess I would put that with the childlike energy, unless I'm mistaken about that.
I mean, childlike energy. I mean, if you want to tell me, what do you have on the descendant? You have Aries on the descendant cusp. Is that what you said? Aries?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's going to bring forth bold personalities. When we talk about children and childlike things, there's something about Aries. What's makes me think what's childish about Aries? Impulsivity. They just want to do something because they want to do it. So it's people that have a high degree of impulsivity, maybe very take charge. I'll do it. I'll try. I'll start, that type of thing. When I think about kids, just in the filing cabinet, kids and childlike, that's really, we get to Leo for that playful sense of creativity and childlike fun. And then nurturing and caring for children is more of a Cancer archetype. Aries, you mentioned, I mean, your connection with children is probably going to come through in lots of different ways in the chart. The descendant having an Aries quality is partnering with just people that are very high energy, assertive, bold, domineering. It can be sometimes selfish. It's that fierce, that's a fierce energy that if you see it with children, it's just children that are very maybe me, very active, very energetic, and all of that type of motif.
Right, cool, thank you.
You are welcome. All right, you guys. I started a hair late this time, and I'm gone a hair late. If anybody does, there's not any other burning questions, I'm gonna wrap us up and stop the recording. So thank you guys again for showing up to the first round table, and I look forward to catching y'all next month. And I will send out in my newsletter when that will be then. So see you guys next
Thank you.
time.